A Virginia prison is in the hands of the inmates. A terrifying escape frees 6 killers from death row. As the men run free, police race against time to track and capture the fugitives before they kill again. Mecklenburg Correctional Center is the pride of Virginia's prison system. Completed in 1977 at a cost of $20 million, it is state-of-the-art. The C-Pod of Building 1 houses Virginia's most dangerous criminals, the death row inmates. The double-gated entrance, or the sally port, is the only way in, and there is no other way out. Officer Ron Sawyer is informed a bomb has been found in C-Pod. He is ordered to bring a van to the front of the prison immediately so the bomb unit can move and dispose of the bomb. Prison policy strictly forbids opening both gates at once. But this is a matter of life and death. What seemed like a bomb evacuation had actually been an escape. The guards are now captives, and 6 of Virginia's most notorious killers are free.
A big manhunt underway for 6 convicted murderers who broke out of a state prison in Mecklenburg County, Virginia during the night. The inmates were all on death row. The 6 overpowered guards with homemade knives and drove out with a prison van.
As news of the escape spreads, it sends shockwaves through the state's law enforcement authorities. It is the first time death row inmates have escaped in U.S. history.
The governor was extremely concerned for the safety of any citizens that these escapees might come in contact with. He had been briefed on the background of these individuals. He was aware that each one was awaiting execution for murder or mass murders, and he was extremely concerned that we apprehend these individuals as quickly as possible.
We've got 6 guys on the street now.
Investigator Lettner arrives after the killers have been on the road for over 30 minutes. He immediately establishes a search perimeter. Because the inmates are driving a prison van, police will increase the search area every hour. Lettner meets with the warden to learn about the men who escaped.
Let me tell you, it's been about a month and a half.
The news isn't good. The 6 fugitives have been convicted of killing a total of 17 people. The 2 most dangerous escapees are the Briley brothers, James and Linwood. The Brileys ran a vicious Richmond area gang. Police suspected they had slaughtered anywhere from 11 to 20 people. Earl Clanton killed a Virginia woman just months after being paroled for killing an elderly New Jersey woman. Lem Tuggle raped and murdered 2 elderly women. Derek Peterson killed a supermarket manager after robbing him of $6,000. Willie Leroy Jones murdered and robbed an elderly couple. He asked the wife to pray for him before shooting her and setting the house on fire. These are the men who escaped from Mecklenburg's death row. Most of them killed more than once, and would likely kill again if given a chance. Officer Lawrence Harrison of the Warren County, North Carolina Sheriff's Department, on patrol far outside the Virginia authorities' search perimeter, notices a white prison van.
At the time, I thought it was just correctional people could transfer because they do that at night. And they came by, they waited me, and I waited them, and they kept going.
The prisoners have slipped the perimeter, and Officer Harrison has not yet been informed of the breakout. The escapees realize a white prison van would be easily spotted. As their euphoria from the escape wears off, they begin arguing about where they should go, what they should do with the van. Someone suggests they hide the van in the woods and cover it with branches. But that would take time, and the six are getting nervous. While driving through Warrenton, North Carolina, a town of about 1,000 people, they find a grove of trees. It looks like a good place to leave the van. The escapees split up. The Brileys, Tuggle, and Jones go one direction. Clanton and Peterson go another. The men get lucky, finding some sweat clothes hanging outside on a clothesline. They ditch their prison garb. While police continue to search the perimeter around the prison, the inmates are running free to the south of their search area. The fugitives have been on the run for 3.5 hours when a North Carolina Highway Patrol officer discovers the prison van.
211 Central. I'm stopping to check out a suspicious van in the back of the schoolyard.
It's 30 miles from Mecklenburg. It had been driven into some trees behind the Marion Boyd Elementary School. Parked near the playground, the van is hardly inconspicuous. Officers from the Warrenton Police and Sheriff's Department approach the prison van.
Take the door here. Take the door.
Investigators find the riot gear the prisoners used to disguise themselves, along with the television set they passed off as a bomb. Earl Clanton and Derek Peterson traded the guards' uniforms for some sweat clothes. Clanton kept his guard's jacket, but ripped off the patches. The two fugitives walk into a coin-operated laundry. Having spent a sleepless night on the run, they are hungry and thirsty. They had just been to a convenience store where they bought a bottle of wine and some cheese. The commander of the Prison Emergency Response Team, or PERT, happens to be driving by the laundry. He spots a man wearing a coat. The coat is the same color and cut as a Mecklenburg Guard's uniform. Certain this is one of the escaped inmates, the officer decides to arrest him before he can leave the laundry. He hopes to catch him by surprise.
Man, get out. Get out. Go, go. Freeze! Let me see your hands. Turn around. Get your hands up. Come on, man. Come on, turn around. Make any move.
Clanton and Peterson were out of prison for no more than 19 hours. They didn't go far. And now their freedom is over. In Portsmouth, Virginia, just a few hours' drive from Warrenton, a police officer spots two men breaking into a car.
Hey, police, what are y'all doing? See some hands. See some y'all. Let me see your hands. Step out from behind the car. car! Step out from behind the car! Let me see your hands! Good!
When he tries to stop them, the two men open fire.
One of our officers saw Linwood Briley in the 1800 block of Elm Avenue, but then he lost sight of him. And shortly before 9 o'clock, another officer spotted Linwood Briley and James Briley here at Elm and Lincoln. Apparently they were tampering, or appeared to be tampering, with an automobile in this area. As soon as they saw the officers, they ran.
As the FBI chases every lead on the fugitives from Mecklenburg's death row, they get another break hundreds of miles from Virginia. Lem Tuggle and Willie Jones took 8 days to make their way to Woodford, Vermont, a little resort town just south of the Canadian border. The men had spent the night in the woods. They decide to try and make it to Canada. The two fugitives have a problem. Their stolen truck is low on gas and they need money. Tuggle leaves Jones and drives back to a souvenir shop he had visited 3 days before.
Oh, hiya.
Diet Coke.
Waiting for the right time to make his move, Tuggle asks the owner for a soda.
And there will be anything else for you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Drawing a hunting knife, he demands all the money in the cash register.
Right here in this bag. Oh, here you go.
Once Tuggle gets the money, he turns and walks out. The woman notes the truck's license tag, PEI-1. It is easy to remember. The take is about $80 and change. It isn't much, but it's enough for gas and a new start in Canada.
Most of the town constable had ever really done before was to hustle drunks off the street and check out reports of stolen bicycles. And all of a sudden he was chasing this crazy man who had robbed a store at knife point.
Wunderlich radios Begiebing that the truck is now heading south toward the state of Massachusetts. Trooper Begiebing goes from a Code 2 to a Code 3 response, using his lights and siren.
I was accelerating around probably 80 or 90 miles an hour to try to meet them, to make up some time and distance before he got north to the intersection of Route 100 and Route 8.
If they act quickly, they can set up a roadblock before the convict has a chance to slip away. On the radio, Begiebing hears that other officers are joining the chase. Wunderlich advises him that the vehicle is turned around and is proceeding north on Route 100. The trooper and the fugitive are now heading straight for each other.
At that time, I was trying to find a good location to execute a stop where there weren't any residences around, where we could have something of relative safety, yet still be in enough of a field of view where I could see the truck coming.
The officers now realize they are pursuing a convicted killer. When Begiebing swings his vehicle across the road, he knows he is putting his life on the line in a high-stakes game of dare.
There's a little element of danger involved, but yet it's something that, being a rural patrol officer, you rarely see, and you're kind of like saying, oh no, to yourself, you know, that what have I gotten myself into here?
Begiebing is gambling that the suspect isn't desperate enough to ram his cruiser, or that he is a good enough shot to stop him before he does. A Vermont state trooper and a town constable have boxed in one of the death row escapees. It's now a question of whether Lem Tuggle, who had been convicted of killing 2 persons, would be squeamish about killing a 3rd. Weighing his options, Tuggle pulls over and stops.
I then ordered him to place his hands out the window so I could see his hands, and we then ordered Tuggle from the truck to lay down on the pavement, and then approached him and took him into custody. He identified himself to me as, my name is Lem and I'm from Virginia, and something to the effect, I expect you'll find that I'm wanted.
Lem Tuggle has been a fugitive for just 10 days.
Come and give me a hand.
He seems almost relieved to be captured. Tuggle admits that robbing the gift shop was a big mistake. But the truck was out of gas and he wanted to get to Canada. The next day, an unusual call comes in to the Vermont State Police.
State Police Derby.
The man gives the dispatcher his name.
Willie Jones. Yes, can I help you?
He says police are looking for him.
For what? Where?
He'd escaped from prison.
I can't. Mecklenburg? Mecklenburg where? In Virginia? For what?
He had broken out of death row.
How long? When? And you want to turn yourself in? I will be sending the cruiser up, the police up to talk with you.
When Tuggle didn't return, Jones became lost and confused. Tired of being on the run, he wanted to turn himself in. The dispatcher asks Jones to describe where he is. She determines that he is on Route 242 outside the town of Jay. Jones tells the dispatcher he is unarmed. In his 26 years as a trooper, this is the only time Richard Armitage has ever had a fugitive call and asked to be picked up.
He just looked like he was ready to turn himself in. He looked dejected, he looked tired, dirty, hungry, and it was obvious that he'd been bit by a number of the black flies that we do have in this area.
With 4 of the 6 fugitives captured, only the Brileys, the most dangerous killers, remain at large. Days earlier, a woman in New York notified police she received a call from James Briley. The call originated from this garage. Its owner, Dan Latham, had been introduced to the Brileys by their uncle using false names. He called them Lucky and Slim. The FBI sets up a fixed surveillance on Latham's garage. Agents see several men hanging around, but aren't sure if they're the Brileys. They send in an informant from the neighborhood to try and confirm an ID.
He was a street-type guy who was very sharp, could really maneuver in that environment. We sent him in there. He actually talked to James Briley. He came back out and met with us. He said, "I think it's him."
A tattoo on the suspect's left arm further confirms the ID. Agents believe they have found James, but they see no sign of his brother Linwood. They wonder whether to go in and arrest one, or wait with the hope of getting both. But if they wait, Virginia's most notorious serial killers might slip away. After 19 days of searching, the FBI believes they have located the last 2 escapees from Mecklenburg's death row. They have taken refuge at a body shop in North Philadelphia. The 2 fugitives appear to be having a party. Having confirmed their identities through an informant, agents decide it's time to move in. Garage owner Dan Latham is surprised by all the commotion.
I myself was in the office on the phone, just taking it easy, and I heard some wheels screeching, coming to a halt, and I heard a lot of screaming. I looked outside, all I seen was guns, a lot of guns.
Both brothers admit their identities and are led away in handcuffs. The nationwide manhunt is over. The last of the Mecklenburg Six are recaptured.